system actually हो चल नहीं रहा था मेरा. So we'll continue with the topic of celiac disease. Last time हमने इसकी pathogenesis तक complete किया था. Today we'll continue with the morphology of celiac disease. So pathology, I'm just getting short of time, so I'll just continue, switch to the morphology. हमने last time we just read that the main pathology or pathogenesis is effective of absorption of the surface epithelium by the various mechanisms, and there's destruction of the surface epithelial cells and the villus architecture. So morphologically, this represents as, first of all, there will be increased number of cytotoxic CD8 T cells within the surface epithelium. Now we'll call these lymphocytes as intraepithelial lymphocytes. This will be the first sign which will indicate the celiac diseases. There's an underlying celiac disease. Then there will be crypt hyperplasia. The raised part above the surface of the mucosa, which gives the towel-like appearance to small bowel, is known as villi. The similar projection which goes down the mucosa into the lamina propria is known as crypt. So there will be crypt hyperplasia. Instead of going upward के villi ज़्यादा होने चाहिए, normal ratio is that the villi should be 5 to 3 times more than the crypts. This gets disturbed. There will be less raised finger-like projections and more downward projections or crypts. This is known as crypt hyperplasia. Then there will be ultimately villus atrophy. This continuous destruction of cells will eventually lead to flattened mucosa, which we call as villus atrophy. There will be increased number of plasma cells, mast cells, and eosinophils. The loss of mucosal brush border areas account for malabsorption. So the villi surface will be flattened. Villus जो है बेटे normally जो villi present होती हैं, they give, अगर surface absorption जो है वो 5 times increase कर देते हैं as compared to flat surface. So if there will be flat surface, there will be less absorption, and eventually they present as symptoms of malabsorption. There will be increased rate of epithelial turnover, may limit the ability of absorptive enterocytes to fully differentiate express protein necessary for terminal digestion and transepithelial transport. So वो कहते हैं जल्दी का काम नुकसान का, जितनी जल्दी turnover होगा, the cells will not be able to fully mature and acquire the fully functional maturity. This is how the normal on the right side, this darker picture, how the normal finger-like projections or normal duodenum or small bowel mucosa looks like. Celiac mainly affects duodenum. So this is this one, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finger-like projections. In comparison to this, if you compare, we have a rule of 5. If you count normal 5 villi in the duodenum, then the patient is not of celiac disease. But if this ratio is disturbed, I cannot count this is 1. This whole thing is 1, 2, and I cannot count on the similar surface. I cannot count 5 areas. Instead, I see these are the crypts, the downward projections. You see how यहाँ पे कितनी symmetrical और कम सी हैं, and how exaggerated and hyperplastic are these? They are here. So this is a sign of celiac disease. First of all, the impression will be that there is defective villus architecture. Now on closer view, how do the intraepithelial lymphocytes appear? If you see here, I can tell you very easily they have a lot of at least 40-50 lymphocytes within the epithelial border. This is how on closer view they look like. These are the epithelial cells, which will be like columnar nuclei, and these are the T cells. Which T cells? Cytotoxic T cells, which are now occupying the part of epithelium. So आपने 100 enterocytes, practically हम count नहीं करते, 100 enterocytes पर आपने raised T lymphocytes count करने हैं, which are usually more, which raise a concern when more than 25 and are absolutely diagnostic when above 40. Clinically, it presents celiac disease can present as, it is age incorrect. It can usually present at any age group, but commonly within the early age होता है, बच्चों में भी sometimes present होता है, but it is more common in females. It is associated with chronic diarrhea, blotting, and chronic fatigue. Some cases may present as anemia. So usually, commonly clinical presentation होती है, there is an unknown workup for anemia चल रहा होता है. बच्चों में particularly young teens में, females के अंदर chronic diarrhea is the common presentation. Pediatric celiac disease presents with malabsorption and atypical symptoms. It is seen between 6 to 24 months, manifests as irritability, abdominal distension, chronic diarrhea, and other set of symptoms which sometimes include arthritis, joint pains, F stomatitis, and other iron deficiency anemia presentations. Diagnosis is by two things. Serology is conclusive, but usually serology के साथ to see the response biopsy भी की जाती है. Serological tests include IgA antibodies against anti-tissue transglutaminases and anti-endomysial antibodies. Then there's IgG, anti-tissue transglutaminase bodies. I'll just like to go through this thing one. If you remember this the pathogenesis, gliadin gluten का part enter हुआ था, जिसने engage किया था through transglutaminase engage किया था T cell receptors को और T cells को. A part of T cells जो है, एक तो direct वो T cells थे जिन्होंने natural killer T cells को engage किया और damage किया epithelial को. फिर उन्होंने certain खास phenotype के epithelial cells को occupy किया था which have HLA phenotype. These और इसमें engagement के बाद दो चीजें हुई थी. First तो T cells और cytotoxic T cells और natural killer T cells थे जो directly damage कर देंगे. Then there was engagement of B cells which will produce antibodies. These antibodies, if you remember, anti-gliadin, anti-endomysial और anti-tissue transglutaminase. So ये इन्हीं का जिक्र हो रहा है. इन्हीं antibodies को हमने serologically भी detect करना है. Two of them which are very anti-gliadin जो है बेटे वो इसलिए नहीं करते because they are pretty common in other diseases also. Some other malabsorptions में भी आप उसको देख सकते हैं. Patient को mild सा traveling diarrhea उसमें भी आ सकता है. लेकिन anti-tissue transglutaminase and particularly anti-endomysial antibodies, they are diagnostic for celiac disease. Why do we need biopsy? Two things. एक तो आपने treatment response देखना होता है. Treatment response का serological test के साथ अच्छा correlation नहीं है, इसलिए biopsy देखी जाती है. और secondly, then there is कि if there in some cases, especially जब elderly में celiac develop हो, तो they are associated with what we call this risk आप पढ़े enteropathy associated T cell lymphomas and rarely adenocarcinomas. What is the treatment? Gluten-free diet. So basically होता है ये follow up में कि आप patient को 6 months gluten-free diet पे रखते हैं and then you see the biopsy of the patient has it improved. Usually अगर improve करा हो तो clinically तो biopsy करते ही नहीं है. Biopsy सिर्फ तब करते हैं जब refractory celiac disease या non-responding celiac disease suspected हो. Other enteropathies can associated environmental enteropathies, autoimmune enteropathy. These are the autoimmune enteropathies जो antibodies other than these three involve करती हैं. They are very rare. Lactase deficiency and A beta lipoproteinemia. इनके बेटे आपको सिर्फ नाम पता होने चाहिए. इनका scope is beyond your requirement. Then comes an important part, which is infectious enterocolitis. Cholera is one of the commonest enterocolitis which we encounter. So cholera, can you see the shared screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Cholera is caused by the Vibrio cholera, and it is a comma-shaped gram-negative bacteria mostly seen in warm season. So cholera outbreak आप अक्सर सुनते रहते हैं. Vibrio cholera organisms are the ones which are responsible for it, and they secrete toxins which is the main virulent factor of the organism. Clinically, patient may be asymptomatic, but classically ये बच्चों में, छोटे बच्चों में under 10 years age ज़्यादा common होता है outbreak में. And get these extreme watery diarrhea, which is known as rice water diarrhea, along with vomiting, and after usually occurs an incubation period of 1 to 5 days. So other infections which include other than cholera is the Campylobacter enterocolitis, which is known as traveler's diarrhea. इसके बेटे आपको organism का नाम पता होना चाहिए because traveler diarrhea is frequently asked in MCQs. It is usually an infection associated with uncooked chicken or unpasteurized milk. So on the way आप compromised खाने खाते हैं, especially to when hilly areas and other places जहाँ पे high altitude cooking difficult होती है. So sometimes you get traveler's diarrhea. It is classically known as traveler's diarrhea because travel के साथ associate travel की history देता है patient 1 to 2 weeks back. Shigellosis, this is a gram-negative bacteria and causes bloody diarrhea. In morphology, the colon, ileum, and mucosa is hemorrhagic and ulcerated. Sometimes pseudomembranes and epithelial ulcers similar to Crohn's disease may be present. So it can mimic Crohn's disease. You need to know the culture. What is the culture result? Salmonella infection and typhoid fever, very common. आपको पता है पाकिस्तान endemic है for typhoid fever. इतने endemic है कि हमारे certain Vidal tests वगैरह obsolete हो चुके हैं because वो हमारी सारी population में detect होता है. So now the gold standard for typhoid is blood culture. These are gram-negative bacteria. Salmonella, typhi, and paratyphi are the most common, which cause this salmonellosis or typhoid fever. Morphologically, there's enlargement of Peyer's patches. What are Peyer's patches? These are the lymphoid aggregates located in the ileum and some part of the colon, just below the surface epithelium. There's enlargement of Peyer's patches in sharp plateau-like elevations. So you see the raised areas with Peyer's patches. Up to 8 centimeter, ये खैर इतनी exact measurements कोई करता नहीं है. Draining mesenteric lymph nodes are also involved. How do they are involved? They get enlarged. So if a surgeon sees or biopsy perforation है कोई है और patient को suspected लगे कि lymph nodes भी बहुत enlarge हुए हैं, so they usually sample it and they do suspect that it is a typhoid perforation. Microscopically, neutrophils, macrophages containing RBCs, bacteria, and nuclear debris is present in the gut. So there's a whole population of lymphoid cells. And what is classically present, one thing is the macrophages. Achha, how do macrophages differentiate from typhoid from other entities? These macrophages show ingested RBCs within them. So if which is known as hemophagocytosis. So if I see a hemophagocytosis occurring very frequently in biopsy, I can kind of favor that it is a typhoid perforation, but the gold standard again remains blood culture. Mucosal damage creates oval ulcers. Orientation is along the axis of ileum. Very important for MCQ. How do the typhoid ulcers or typhoid perforations differentiate from tuberculosis and Crohn's? They are along the axis. Depth में नहीं जाते, they are superficial. So draining lymph nodes are enlarged due to phagocytic accumulation. और ऊपर again mentioned कि perforation हो सकती है. Spleen is enlarged. Why? Because of hemophagocytosis. And red pulp with prominent phagocytic hyperplasia. Liver sometimes show changes of parenchymal necrosis, and is in such kind of these nodules are known as typhoid nodules. They may also develop in bone marrow and lymph node. And what are these nodules? These are the organ cells replaced by macrophages doing hemophagocytosis. This is very important all for your MCQs, especially. This is a typical perforation picture. You cannot make it out that it is a typhoid perforation, but I can assure you this is enlargement of Peyer's patch. ये आपका एक lymphoid follicle है जो enlarged हुआ है, and this is the inflammation going into the muscle wall. This is how the typhoid perforation looks like. The mucosa is being necrosed. There's a lot of congestion and inflammation. This is how you see the typhoid nodule. There is necrosis of the organ. Patches में necrosis हो रहा है, and necrotic areas में what you see are macrophages containing RBCs. This is again another picture. This is how the closer picture, how you see typhoid cells. What are the typhoid cells? These are the macrophages. This is a macrophage eating up RBC. You see here is a large cell eating up RBCs. So these are known as, when they accumulate, they are known as typhoid granules or typhoid cells. Another entity which is very important in inflammatory disorders or infectious disorder is enterocolitis. Enterocolitis is जब के पूरी bowel को inflammation हो रही हो. Usually we use this term more for colon. Common clinical term. वैसे by definition it means कि कोई भी part involve हो सकता है. So infectious, उसमें the top one is pseudomembrane colitis. Colitis means inflammation of large bowel. It is caused by Clostridium difficile. This is very important. Pseudomembrane colitis आपसे बहुत ज़्यादा पूछा जाएगा. There's disruption of normal colonic bacteria by antibiotics, which allow an opportunistic bacteria, which is Clostridium difficile, to overgrow. Any antibiotic can be responsible. So this is particularly for us. जब हम थोड़ा सा भी नज़ला जुकाम होता है और सेफ्स्पेन से नीचे हम बात नहीं करते, and we jump onto the high dose antibiotics. बहुत से हम में से बहुत overdose भी हम करते हैं just to get symptom free. Though those infections are usually viral, still we end up eating large, heavy amounts of antibiotics for smaller purposes. What this causes is a disruption of normal colonic bacteria. So Clostridium difficile in a normal person, जिसमें ये disruption ना हो, infection नहीं करेगा. But when it gets an opportunistic bacteria, as soon उसको normal colonic bacteria की antibiotics से death हुई, it gets a chance to flourish. Microscopically, why we call it pseudomembrane colitis? Because on surface epithelium is denuded and it shows a dense sheet of infiltrate of neutrophils and fibrin thrombi. These superficial damaged crypts are distended by mucopurulent exudate. So there is an exudate. Exudate का मतलब mucopurulent. Mucopurulent means mucus है. Purulent means pus है. What is pus? Degenerated neutrophils. So they combine to form a sheet over the denuded or ulcerated epithelium, and this sheet is known as, when these sheet at many places join, तो आपको माइक्रोस्कोप एंडोस्कोपिकली लगता है कि पैची सी बड़ी पस टाइप की ना स्टिकी सी शीट बनी हुई है. क्लासिकली एंडोस्कोपी के दौरान आपको नजर आएगी, and these exudates are known as pseudomembrane. This is how it looks like on microscopy. So there's denudation or ulceration of the surface epithelium. There's an outburst of inflammatory cells and mucoid material and forming a sheet-like structure. Sheet तो बननी है, बीच-बीच में fibrin भी है. Fibrin का काम क्या है? एक सेल से दूसरे सेल को जोड़ के रखना. So there is a kind of a sheet बनी हुई है on the surface, which is known as pseudomembrane. This is how on the endoscopy it looks like, sticky किस्म का, dirty किस्म का membrane. And this is the microscopic picture. It is neutrophils and mucous material. Other things which it is the similar picture, bacterial enterocolitis में आपको journal other than pseudomembrane enterocolitis, आपको other enterocolitis में क्या नजर आएगा? There will be dense neutrophils, but there will be no sheet formation on the surface. So you basically cannot make up on the microscopy कि आपको कोई actual bacteria नजर आएंगे वहाँ पर. You just call it that it is acute colitis or infectious etiology को clinically और lab की supporting test के through, cultures के through rule out करें. So this was the another lecture. Now we have, I would like, I think हम एक और presentation कर लें. Please start. Let me download another one and we'll continue with it. So meanwhile, I can take up questions if there are any.
No, ma'am, there are no questions.
आप लोगों को last time मैंने पूछा था watershed areas क्या होते हैं? Can somebody please, has anybody read it? चलो, good for you. मेरी presentation जल्दी download हो गई है. हम बाद में इसको continue करेंगे. So Whipple disease. Whipple basically इसको बोलते हैं, I call it Whipple, some people call it Whipple. आपको जो पसंद हो आप कह लें. So Whipple disease is a rare multivisceral chronic disease. It is also an infectious etiology. अब हम वही continue कर रहे हैं. Pathology. What is the pathogenesis? It is called by gram-negative actinomycete bacteria, which is known as Tropophyrium whipple. So Tropophyrium whipple has clinical symptoms. Basically, the underlying mechanism or underlying what you see is there. Sorry, जी.
मैम slides move नहीं हो रही.
मैंने अब आपको नजर आ रहा है? आ रही है आपको whipple disease नजर आ रहा है आपको?
अभी तक बैक्टीरियल एंटेरोकोलाइटिस की स्लाइड.
ठीक है, मैं दोबारा शेयर कर देती हूँ. ऐसे करते मैं दोबारा शेयर करती हूँ. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it moving?
No.
Moving?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's moving.
Okay, we'll continue with the Whipple disease. So clinical symptoms occurs because organ-laden macrophages accumulate within the small intestine and mesenteric lymph node, causing lymphatic obstructions. So basically, जो macrophages हैं, they will physically cause a pressure precluding lymphatic drainage. This will lead to the malabsorption diarrhea due to impaired lymphatic transport. Underlying organism is Tropophyrium whipple. ये some of these organisms जो हमने Clostridium difficile पढ़ा था, Campylobacter jejunum और Whipple disease, ये आपको सब पूछे जाएंगे and they will be coming in MCQs and in detail questions. Morphologically, microscopically, the hallmark is the dense accumulation of foamy macrophages in the lamina propria of small intestine. You can actually grossly see there are white small dots. This is strawberry के ऊपर black dots होते हैं. In the gut, there will be small white dots symmetrically distributed. Microscopically, they will be foamy macrophages. They contain PAS. This is the stain periodic acidic SCIF region, which detects which is positive, and it is diastase resistant. So it basically indicates कि इसमें PS जो है आपके resistant granules बन रहे हैं, which represent lysosomes. and they are stuffed with partially digested bacteria. A similar infiltrate can also be seen in tuberculosis, but the organism will be different. It will be acid-fast bacillus, and then there is a Zn stain which we can do to rule out. Zn stain picks up acid-fast bacillus. Under microscope, there will be intact rod-shaped bacilli that can be seen on electron microscopy within these macrophages. Morphologically, villus expansion caused by dense macrophage infiltrate gives a shaggy appearance to the mucosal surface. Lymphatic drainage and mucosal lipid accumulation accounts for common endoscopic detection of white to yellow mucosal patches. In Whipple disease, the bacteria-laden macrophages can accumulate in mesenteric nodules, synovial membrane of affected joints, cardiac valves, and brain, but this is an extreme case. Usually it remains limited to the bowel. This is how you see. Normally, यहाँ पे सिर्फ छोटे-छोटे आपको glands नजर आने चाहिए और lymphocytes नजर आने चाहिए. But what I see them, there is a large, pale, kind of granular kind of cells. This is how these cells appear under PAS regent, periodic acid skiff regent. Dark pink नजर आ रहे हैं. यहाँ पे आपको transparent से नजर आ रहे थे. And this is how ये उन्होंने कंपैरिजन किया इफ यू डू ई में, इफ यू डू एन एसिड फास्ट बैसिलस. जब आपको मैक्रोफेजेस या हिस्टोसाइट्स गट में कहीं भी नजर आए तो रिगार्डलेस ऑफ अदर कॉजेज वी ऑलवेज सस्पेक्ट कि ट्यूबरक्लोसिस भी ना हो. तो ट्यूबरक्लोसिस को बाय स्टेन जरूर रूल आउट कर लेते हैं. यू डू दिस Zn स्टेन व्हिच हैज अ ब्लू बैकग्राउंड, और अगर उसमें बैक्टीरिया हो जो कि जैसे कि इस पेशेंट को नजर आ रहे हैं तो वो रेड नजर आते हैं अगेंस्ट ब्लू बैकग्राउंड. So this is not our case. We'll stick to Whipple disease. This is how the Whipple disease appears under PS stain. This is again a closer picture. ये मुख्तलिफ infectious enteritis की pictures हैं. The 1D is Whipple disease. यहाँ पे foamy histiocyte नजर आ रहे हैं. जो बाकी pictures हैं मैंने सोचा इतनी डिटेल की बजाय let's show you the pictures. These are different kind of bacteria. यहाँ पर आपको क्या नजर आ रहा है? These are parasitic organisms. Sometimes parasitic organisms can occupy gut. ठीक है. Schistosomiasis होता है. There are lots of other micro parasitic organisms and Proteus vermicularis होता है, which we can occupy the gut. Then there are certain giardial organisms, leaf-like organisms होते हैं जो कि duodenum की या gut की surface पे नजर आते हैं. You can see them on E shape. These are small blue kind of opportunistic bacteria which sometimes form the उनको spirochetes कहते हैं. They are not common. They are only seen in immunocompromised patients. On the gut surface, they attach themselves to luminal borders as these small dots. So there is just few जिनका आपको picture representation या नाम पता होना चाहिए. Then comes the abdominal tuberculosis, which will be our detailed topic. It is usually seen secondary to pulmonary tuberculosis. X-ray usually not show no evidence of lung disease. Intestinal tuberculosis, sometimes patient को पहले कभी probably symptomatic or asymptomatic pulmonary tuberculosis रहा होता है, which then disseminates and eventually results in abdominal tuberculosis. Sometimes it can be entirely unrelated. पहले कभी कोई symptom होता ही नहीं है. So either way can be the presentation. Intestinal tuberculosis can occur as because of drinking of unpasteurized milk infected with Mycobacterium bovis, secondary from lung. Mycobacterium avium intracellularly is a pathogen in HIV patients. So this kind of जो acid fast, ये सारे bacteria जो हैं, they are acid fast bacillus. Why are they called acid fast bacillus? आपने microbiology में पढ़ा होगा because they have a thick kind of cell wall which gives a very discrete appearance when we apply Zn stain because of their mucopolysaccharides and excessive deposition in their wall. So these are, and they are resistant to acid. That's why we call them acid fast bacillus. So इनमें जो acid fast bacillus में Mycobacterium avium intracellulare है. This only occurs in HIV patients. Normally immunocompetent patients it is not able to cause disease. Ileocecal region is the most common site in the involvement of tuberculosis. Mechanism by which bacterium reach gut. Number 1, hematogenous spread होता है, जिसे miliary tuberculosis कहते हैं, from primary lung focus. Ingestion of Mycobacterium sputum in active tuberculosis. Usually ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. Stomach acid फिर भी काफी possible होता है, उसको remove कर दे if it is a less in quantity. But if the patient is not immune competent or already compromised immunity, then it can sometimes call abdominal tuberculosis. Direct spread from adjacent organs. Mesenteric lymph node में suppose tuberculosis था या कहीं और direct spread हो सकता है. They can be lymphatic channels from the infected lymph nodes. So they can affect several places. There can be ulcer production. This is how the abdominal tuberculosis can look like. There can be gastrointestinal tuberculosis, forming ulcers, hypertrophic scars, or diffuse colitis. There can be peritoneal tuberculosis, peritoneum in the form of ascites, encysted form or fibrous form. There can be tuberculosis of mesentery and its content of solid viscera like liver, pancreas, spleen, and sometimes there can be only involvement of retroperitoneal lymph node tuberculosis. Either of this case, we use a generalized term, abdominal tuberculosis. These are how the tuberculous ulcers look like on the cross picture. These are superficial and along the long axis. They do not go into the, these are, sorry, patchy ulcers and patchy involvement of the mucosa. Sorry, मैंने typhoid से खुद इसको आपको I've just सही नहीं मैंने बोला था. This is the how the typhoid ulcer actually looks like, superficial along the longitudinal axis. How do the tuberculous ulcers look like? They are patchy, discrete, but deep. On microscopy, how do we call it that this is tuberculosis in the gut? You see granuloma, which is the hallmark of tuberculosis. You know, अभी आपने
मैडम 5 मिनट रह गए आपके लेक्चर के.
which are आपको इसका मुझसे ज़्यादा इस वक्त elaborate description पता होनी चाहिए, but in general, there is a central caseation necrosis surrounding by Langerhans type epithelioid cells, lymphocytes and fibroblasts, and together this whole structure forms granuloma. These are how the granulomas look like. This caseation necrosis or central geographical expansile necrosis is hallmark of tuberculosis. There are other conditions which can look similar, but they do not have this caseation necrosis and they do not demonstrate acid-fast bacillus on Zn scan. So symptoms, abdominal symptoms will be pain, constipation, diarrhea, distension, and lump formation with varying percentages. Systemically, patient will be showing fever, anorexia, and weight loss. There's another term which is known as irritable bowel syndrome. It is characterized by chronic relapsing abdominal pain and changes in bowel habits. Pathologically, it is a poorly understood disease. There's actually no link with some physical disease there. It is more related to psychological stress, diet, perturbation of gut mycobacterial flora. जो लोग खाम खा कोई एंटीबायोटिक लेते रहते हैं या कुछ ना कुछ मेडिकेशन या कोई ना कोई ऐसी ड्रिंक्स लेते रहते हैं which alter the pH there. Abnormal GI motility, increase enteric sensory response to GI stimulant. But basically ये वो वाला डायरिया जो आपको वाइवा में एंटर होने से पहले बहुत ज़्यादा फील हो रहा होता है और एग्जाम्स के दिनों में. So it is highly stress related. Morphologically, this gross and microscopic evaluation is absolutely normal. Clinically, it occurs in patients typically between 20 to 40 years of age, especially in females. Females are more prone to stress. Irritable bowel syndrome is not associated with any long-term sequel. I'll end up my lecture here, and in the next lecture, we'll particularly start with inflammatory bowel diseases, which is known as Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. I would like that आप थोड़ा सा उसको read up कर लें, so it will be easy कि हम Monday को इसको completely finish कर लें inflammatory bowel disease को. Are there any questions?
No, ma'am, there are no questions.
So, okay, we'll kind of end the lecture here and we'll continue with inflammatory bowel disease in next lecture.